Today I'm gonna be reacting to the Final Destination kill count. So we do number 9.
Hey, I got her a little something.
A little something, Dad?
09. Final
About
Destination.
going back inside for his wife, the mechanic's wife, Nadia, gets killed by a wayward tire flying through the air. I'm assuming that news report counted her among the 52. The effect when it first happens is pretty bad, but I will give credit to the practical corpse they show afterward. Then we get a title
it's
card
blurred.
and the most badass opening credits I've ever seen. In them, a dope-ass hard rock theme plays over X-ray depictions of the kills we've seen happen in the series. It's all very stylized and does a great job getting the viewer
What was the thing?
way of saying Final Destination 4 and or Final Destination 3D. Yep, this is the much maligned 3D extravaganza that came out in 2009, the same year as Saw 3D. Perhaps it's not a coincidence then that I fucking hate both these movies. Also, heads up, I'm recording this after I got back from SummerSlam and my voice is still kinda shot. Sorry, but that's bound to happen after you witness Seth Rollins frog splash Brock Lesnar through an announcer's table. And your eyes don't deceive you. That is in fact Chelsea and me back there, fist pumping our brains out. By God. Final 4, which I'll call it to save time, has a lot of the same problems as its pink-blooded Saw brethren. Primarily the fact that all of its characters are walking, talking, gaping assholes that'll afflict any viewer with a serious case of misanthropy. Characters have never been Final Destination's focus, but as the movies carried on, the side characters evolved from being boring and forgettable to obnoxious and cynical, with everyone either
get to the
snarky
kills, bro.
out with writer Eric Bress and but unfortunately for Final 4, the graphic kills, which have always been the sole strength and indeed raison d'etre of the franchise, shit the bed hard. This not NASCAR race at McKinley Speedway is being watched by our soon-to-be prognosticator, Nick, played by Bobby Campo, who would go on to be that affair-having teacher in the Scream TV series. Which, yes, I've seen and I enjoy, and I hope to one day cover it somehow. He's here with more model cutout characters, like his girlfriend Lori, her friend Janet, and this Hunt dude, who's here actively rooting for the drivers to crash and die.
And you have to scrape them off the fence with a shovel. A shovel!
Wow, Hunt, you're so fucking cool. Our future deja vu moments to herald the upcoming disaster include a binoculars flask the kids share with a nearby couple, some signs that this building is in need of repairs, an obfuscational cowboy who's a gentleman enough to move for the sake of their sightlines, and Emanuel over there putting tampons in her kids' ears for sound protection. Because yeah, a real person would totally do that. We also briefly see other future fugitives of death, including a mechanic there with his girlfriend, and a super unsubtle racist dude who whistles Dixie tunes at George, a black security guard. This movie's disaster kicks off with Death's go-to spell, Gust of Wind. He must be a huge Fletch Stormtail fan. It's wind all the fucking time with this guy. Like what, your wind can unscrew bolts now? That's some OP wind death. A premature pit stop exit leaves a metal doohickey in the road, and that causes a disaster that starts killing people with effects that could have been done by any 7th grader with an Adobe subscription. The deaths come via crushing, torso cutting, and Looney Tunes sound effects. They also come via 3D wood shards. Whoa! We see a ton of nameless cartoon characters killed in various ways before Hunt and Janet are cartoonishly crushed by a chunk of steel. Then, even more nameless cartoons suffer the same cartoonish fate. It's weird to me that this looks so bad because they're just using the same technique they did in part 2, combining green screen shots with some digital additions. I don't know if it's the lighting or the parameters of their keying effect or what, but for some reason, everything looks real fake. Which is a damn shame, seeing as how they filmed a bunch of cool practical stuff at the Mobile International Speedway in Irvington, Alabama. Like, they had an actual car on actual fire slide down a green screen track into a pillar and a dummy. But in the actual movie, that shot doesn't feel so real. Part of me doesn't understand why they shot anything with dummies. Like when they slingshotted a 40-pound engine into one. Since in the movie, it all ends up looking digital. This premonitious disaster ends after Nick watches Lori and George get consumed by a fiery explosion that also blows him back and impales him. Whoa! Secret Rent a Racetrack! Nick gets one look at the binocular booze, the stylish cowboy, and those tampon earplugs, and he knows they've got to get the fuck out of there. His rush to leave causes, as always, a fight to break out. And, as always, a bunch of people get caught up in it and eject themselves from the situation, with the racist dude Carter telling his wife to stay in her seat. And yeah, they named another character in the series Carter. No, I don't know why, since we all know there's only one thing you think of when you hear that name in a Final Destination movie.
Carter, you dick!
The characters yell at each other outside until they hear the crash taking place inside and see some awful looking fiery chaos.
Are you shitting me? It's the whole reason I come to these stupid redneck things.
Dude, it looks like the stage show for Nero's flute concert back there. What the fuck's the matter with you? Anyway, most of what we saw in that vision is taking place right now. You know, minus the main characters dying. And a news report later literally spells out that 52 people died in the catastrophe. So we'll count 51 deaths right here, with a big old thanks to Action 7 for doing my job for me. And I took one off because while the racist dude Carter argues with security guard George about going back inside for his wife, the mechanic's wife, Nadia, gets killed by a wayward tire flying through the air. I'm assuming that news report counted her among the 52. The effect when it first happens is pretty bad, but I will give credit to the practical corpse they show afterward. Then we get a title card and the most badass opening credits I've ever seen. In them, a dope-ass hard rock theme plays over have always had going for them, the gory graphic kills. But after that, we're back to the kill-free parts of the movie, which is never much fun in this series, because we gotta sit here listening to shitbag characters like Hunt.
It's your choice, heads or tails, but you know I like head.
A memorial is held for the accident victims, and while Nick and Lori are there, they run into the tampon mom, Samantha, and her husband. Samantha is played by Krista Allen, who, I've gotta say, is trying her damnedest in this role. She's come a long way from getting ogled at by Jim Carrey in an elevator.
Mama!
They thank Nick for saving their family with first draft generic dialogue while bland, sappy music plays in the background.
Take care. Thank you.
This movie had a new composer after the woman who wrote the music for the first 3 films, Shirley Walker, sadly died of a stroke in 2006. At the time of her death, she had apparently scored more major motion pictures than any other American woman, and her work included James Wong and Glenn Morgan's other horror projects like Willard and the Black Christmas remake. Even the first film she worked on was horror, 1984's Ghoulies, which she co-composed with Richard Band.
Like
Rest in peace, Shirley. At the memorial, Nick and Lori also formally meet George, who's played by master shrimper Michael T. Williamson, previously seen on the kill count as Joe Dixon in Purge Election Year, where I somehow forgot to point him out. Dude was Benjamin Buford Blue. How could I miss that? Before George can tell the kids all the ways you can serve shrimp, racist Carter walks up and blames George for his wife's death.
I wanted to go in there after, but
He spits a hard N-word at George and threatens him as leave. Later that night, Nick has visions in a dream, which are honestly just embarrassing. I feel like these are clues in an old Myst game. Should you get the red pages, Nick, or the blue ones? Nick doesn't know it yet, but that shitty vision was foreshadowing drunk-ass racist Carter driving a tow truck to George's house, where the security guard is shockingly shading in his character by reading from an AA book. Oh, and there's a picture with a lady in the back there, too? Wow, it's like he's a real person. Nice. But racist Carter doesn't see George as a person, and after the guard's lights go down, he gets straight to work putting up a cross to burn in George's front yard. Death also gets straight to work and knocks a bunch of stuff over until Carter's truck is driving on its own and playing War's Why Can't We Be Friends loudly through its speakers, which does admittedly make for some pretty funny music backing as racist Carter gets caught by the truck's hook and dragged down the street. Between sparks and gas, a fire gets going and racist Carter is killed in what ends up being an outright comedy scene.
Do you know why you can't defeat these bosses? It's because, in Maple Idol,
Thank
boss
God
fights
for the
require
ad,
more...
That feels straight out of Scary Movie, complete with the explosion that produces a severed burning head. Props to actor Justin Welborn, who did a partial burn stunt and was actually dragged down the street under the supervision of stunt coordinator Jeffrey J. Dashnaw. And double props to stunt performer Steve Davison, who did a full body burn while being dragged down the street. You know how I love a good fire stunt. Now put that guy out, you crazy kids. As though racist Carter's death wasn't enough of a self-parody already, when news of his death is on TV the next day, we get a scene that's literally in the satirical horror comedy Cabin in the Woods, with a red-headed heroine standing around in her underwear solely for the sake of the camera. This movie is so bad and dumb that it's inadvertently a template for parodies. Nick has another crappy-looking vision that brings him images of scissors and cigarettes, an alt-rock album title if I've ever heard one, and he tells Lori that he thinks his dream from the previous night foretold
How
him of
would
the
that
flaming
kill
tow truck
somebody?
incident.
Now that racist guy is dead.
Haha, yep, he is. Samantha and her kids are still alive, but she's now in danger according to Nick's PlayStation 1 cutscenes. She sends her little monsters to an arcade with some money, then goes to get her hairs cut at a beauty salon. Ooh, and a petty. Damn, Sam, you treating
petty?
yourself, huh? The salon's various tools and accessories conspire to create a slippery floor and a hairspray bottle bomb, but those end up being red herrings. Although her kids eat shit and the bomb goes off, the ceiling fan it dislodges doesn't fall on Samantha. Instead, she's killed after a line of blunt foreshadowing
I've got my eye on you two.
when a stone hit by a lawnmower across the street goes straight through her eye. And if you're wondering why Samantha gets killed, but not her husband or kids, I guess maybe they would have escaped the disaster either way, whereas Sam was left behind getting trampled by the crowds before that engine fell on her. News of Samantha's death makes it into the paper, but it doesn't seem to faze the horny Hunt.
We just lost a really hot MILF.
Hey, does that guy like sex and stuff? I haven't been able to tell.
No!
Nick and Lori tell Hunt and Janet about the visions he's been
God,
having, as
I
well as
hope
the
he got
history
neck,
they've
bro.
learned about similar past incidents like Flight 180, and how after all of those disasters, the survivors' subsequent person's intervention will come
So I'm gonna do what I do.
and try to jog his memory of the order in which people died. He thinks back to all the deaths he saw in his premonition,
God,
but he
I
can't
did- I
remember
wasn't
who
ready
died
for
after
that. Oh,
Samantha.
God.
Nick and Lori are then discovered by George, who responds to their theory sounded like George friggin' Washington.
Young man, that sounds crazy.
They watch the security cam footage that shows how dying is easy, young man, and Nick sees enough to figure out death's order. Looks like the mechanic is next.
Hey, maybe if we can stop this mechanic from getting killed, we can break the chain. And the rest of us will all be safe.
Yeah, dude, that'll definitely happen. It works every time. They track down the mechanic, a guy named Andy, and visit him at the garage in which he works, which is a dangerous place indeed. Andy's been having a hard time ever since seeing his wife get squashed by a tire, and turns out George can relate to him since he recently lost his wife and daughter in a car accident he caused while drunk driving. George continues to develop his character while the others just kind of nod at him a bunch, not knowing that inside the garage, Death is getting back to work again. When it finally springs its trap, a gas tank is launched that catches Andy in the chest and sends him flying partially through a metal fence. This is another kill where I don't know why it looks so bad, since on set they had a dummy with a pre-cut back that they pumped full of blood tubes and actually rammed through a fence. What the hell happened here? Moving down Death's list, Nick says that Hunt and Janet died at the same time in his premonition, so he splits with Lori and George in an effort to track down both of them. Hunt is, predictably, doing the only thing he claims to be good at, even though he taps out after finishing himself and leaves his lady partner unfulfilled. Oh, and look, he's already getting excited to disappoint another girl. But Hunt had better get away from that pool, because Nick is seeing ominous signs and more shitty visions, warning him that water bad. Fire good? Oh, and yeah, check out that not-so-subtle Easter egg referencing Allie Larder's character from parts 1 and 2. Her name was Clear River,
Water
not
bad,
Claire.
fire good.
I was never saying it wrong,
dang
she
it,
just
bro.
had a dumb
Oh,
name.
why'd you
Hunt
have
gets
to,
into a fight with a
mimic
little
break
kid who
from
gives two
Fire
of the
Bad?
funniest
Rrr,
no's
rrr.
I've ever heard in my life.
Give me the gun.
No!
Give me the fucking gun.
No!
After confiscating the gun by force, Hunt discards it in a way that ends up turning on the pool pump, which recently must have gotten turbocharged or some shit, cause look at that thing. That's some overkill. Meanwhile, Janet the personality for pool pump pulling at his bum. My bum is on the drain. My bum is on the drain. The pressure keeps building and it's causing lots of pain. So now he and Janet are in simultaneous situations of aquatic danger, with
So he
Janet
drowned?
getting extra sudsy. But lucky for her, Lori and George drive into the car wash and save her from getting her face cleaned off. Their intervention saves her life and she's rescued from water and pipe of life. But unfortunately for Hunt, Nick's unable to find him when he finally gets to the golf club pool. Hunt is killed when the pool pool pump reaches maximum pressure and sucks out his insides, which splash
He
up into
sucked
the
his
screen well and land on the deck in a bloody mess. This nasty kill required actor Nick Zano to get some underwater training, and the scene took 3 days to shoot. He'd have to stay down there while they got different shots, and in between takes, breathe through instruments like these hoses. Not too hard to act like you're drowning when that's going on.
You gotta get in that headspace of death. Like, I'm dying. But then I'm underwater and I'm tied to the bottom of the pool. Then you start losing your cool. It becomes very real, very fast.
Oh, also, the digital blood in this scene apparently has an excuse. They were shooting at a public pool and couldn't contaminate the water with any fake blood, so they say at least. Since they successfully intervened to save Janet's life, the survivors figure that death is either done with them completely or it'll skip her and move on to George. Either way, George ain't worried.
I'm at peace with it. And, my family's waiting for me. I'm ready to go.
And so that night, George decides to end his own life. Nick and Lori come over to check on him and find him hanging from the ceiling. But hey, he's not dead yet. Although turns out, not for lack of trying.
I've been trying to kill myself all day.
Since George has been unable to kill himself, they think that means death really has given up on them entirely. Awesome! Let's pop some 3D champagne corks. Whoa! To life. What do y'all got planned for us?
Lots of traveling, like Paris, maybe some beaches, Saint-Tropez.
Saint-Tropez? What? Aren't you college students? Where's all this globe-trotting money coming from? Sam and Lori may have been premature with their travel plans anyway, since all of a sudden, Nick has another vision that includes some water dripping and a 3D snake. Hiss! I mean, whoa. A news report reveals that there was another survivor from the racetrack they didn't know about. That tall cowboy, a guy named Jonathan Groves. He was rescued in the rubble, which is not the same fate we saw him suffer in the premonition.
If I would have asked him to move like I did in the premonition, he would have died. Instead, he survived.
That means Jonathan Groves must be the next one on death's list, which is why Nick and George rush to the hospital where he's being taken care of. Also residing in the very same hospital is a racist old man.
You know how many of your kind I killed in Korea?
So fun watching assholes all the time. The old dude's tub starts to overfill with water after the nurses leave him alone. And it looks like his room must be right above the cowboys, because now there's a waterfall coming down on his head. Jonathan Groves actually manages to get out of his bed and crawl across the room, but by time Nick and George find him, it's too late. The tub falls through the floor and crushes him. I'm not entirely sure if it makes sense for the tub to be there, when the leaks began right over Jonathan's bed all the way on the other side of the room. But my editor Zoran says it makes sense for some reason, so I don't feel comfortable berating it as stupid. Maybe I'm just the stupid one, who knows? Lori and Janet, the two most useless and underwritten characters in this whole damn series, are at the mall to see a movie, so that's where Nick and George head next, while George tells Nick a bit about his late wife.
It's like deja vu. My wife said that deja vu was like God's way.
Whoa, okay, we're doing that kill again. Damn. I mean, I knew the dude had to die, but now we're down to exactly 0 interesting characters. Bummer. While Lori and Janet make their way to the theater, we see a lot of construction going on outside and within the mall, giving us lots of dangerous details that these characters should be looking out for. You know, maybe they could stay safe if their parents had taught them to fear and respect the escalator. But I guess they didn't, since Lori's shoelace gets caught. Thankfully, it snaps off before a bloodbath can ensue, leaving the girls safe for now. Nick arrives at the mall and has another vision that shows the girls being killed when their theater blows up into a fireball. Sure enough, death's already gusting winds about and soaking sawdust in flammable chemicals in a room under construction that's right behind the screen in Lori and Janet's theater. They're there to see the latest shitty 3D movie.
We've finally come out with an app.
Yes, you have, and I got it. I got it on my phone right here.
They're there to see the latest shitty 3D movie, Lovelace Dime. But Nick has a hard time finding which theater they're in, since apparently this thing's having an endgame-sized opening. He eventually manages to track them down, and he gets Lori to leave with him before the fire that's broken out backstage can spread to some barrels that are spontaneously combustible. I'm sorry, what? You mean they're combustible, right? Because spontaneously combustible would mean they're apt to blow up at literally any time. You really think there would be spontaneously combustible barrels lying around a construction site movie? Cause that's just fucking stupid. Anyway, Janet refuses to budge, so when that barrel spontaneously combusts, she's killed alongside all the other theater patrons, who are not only blown up, but also stabbed and stuff. We get some variety here. Props to the stunt performers being flung around on cables, and props to the crew who actually blew up a theater facade for real. Movie making is fun. The fire continues to spread and causes 1, 2, 3 more big explosions explosions in the mall, and has, wait, sorry, 4 more big explosions in the mall. The last one tears apart the escalator, which finally gives us the bloodbath that was promised when Laurie is pulled into its exposed gears and squeezed like a bottle of toothpaste. Great use of some soft fake legs made by makeup artist Mike McCarty of K&B. It's an awesome and graphic kill. Oh shit, kills? Have I been forgetting to count kills this whole time? I have, probably because those all took place inside a secret eyeball mall. Whoa!
Oh, that shit is deja vu, like God's will.
Whoops. Yeah, that was all another premonition. But unfortunately, Nick's unable to save George from his ambulance death the second time around. It happens off screen in reality here, but we did see it take place during the vision. So when it comes to the awards, I'm gonna have to factor that in. Nick races off to the mall in order to stop the deadly explosion, and he's able to find the construction site fire before it's reached critical spontaneous combustion levels. Although he puts out the initial fire, Death finds a way and ends up shooting off a nail gun, which pins Nick to the wall and starts a stream of spontaneously flammable liquid that's headed straight towards a second fire. But Nick thinks fast and uses the world's longest tiki torch to set off the fire sprinklers in the room, which puts out the fire before the barrels can get hot enough to spontaneously explode. The 3D movie watchers in that theater don't even know how good they have it. And I'll tell you what, it's a lot better than us 3D movie watchers have it, because we're stuck with this piece of shit. 2 weeks later,
snake?
the 3 survivors meet at
Where's
their favorite
the
coffee
snake?
shop where they're laughing and having a good time. Hell, Nick's even known as a local hero.
You saved a lot of lives, man.
Thanks, random guy. But this happy ending doesn't stay happy for long, since Nick starts getting a bad feeling about everything he sees, and not just the shitty acting.
What do you think, babe? Hey, Space Cadet, you want to come back down to Earth?
The movie ends with another disaster that kills all 3 of them. But since it cuts to the end credits, they're shown in that cool X-ray style that was used in the opening credits. Not a bad way to do some stinger kills like that. Although, honestly, I'm just happy this thing is over. How many cartoonish kills were flung into our faces here? Let's find out and get to the numbers. Heads or tails? Go. 61 people died in the Final Destination, and as per usual with this series, most of them, 51 in fact, were of indeterminable gender. The others were 4 women and 6 men, giving us this mostly gray pie chart. With a runtime of only 82 minutes, that left us with a kill on average every 1.34 minutes. I'll give the Golden Chainsaw for coolest kill to Hunt. He's one of my least favorite characters of all time, but man did he die well. This death is unique.
Yep, he got his colon sucked. That sounds weird.
And splashtastically gory,
Please
of course,
don't-
but it also
don't judge
gets
me,
points
guys.
for the psychological horror going on here. He's surrounded by other people in the pool who he can't contact and who don't know he's in trouble. That's some scary shit, man. Dull Machete for lamest kill will go to Jonathan Groves, crushed by a bathtub that maybe shouldn't have been there logically. And in the Final Destination series, I'm giving out the Primo Premonition Award for the coolest kill seen only in a vision. This time it'll go to Laurie's death during the second premonition, when she was caught in the escalator gears and turned into human yogurt. This was also the film's late director David Ellis's favorite kill.
It's gross.
Yes, it is, David. Yes, it is. And that's it. The Final Destination came out in 2009 in glorious 3D, and is definitely one of my least favorite films I've covered on the Kill Count. Thankfully, the 5th film is actually pretty good. I'll show you next week. Until then, I'm James A. Janice. This has been the Kill Count. Thanks a lot for watching this week's Kill Count. I'd like to thank some patrons like Nicholas Beauchamp, Alex Green, Danielle Colwell, Aiden Galloway, Taylor, and Ayala. Hopefully my voice wasn't too grating during this. It actually hurt me a lot to film this, but I had to get it done. Schedules are a thing.
3D, whoa!
I just had to film some time, sorry. Thanks everyone, be good people.
We have got to the point where literally anybody...
Alright, you guys, it was good to do this video with y'all. Oh, and watch Final Destinations for the first time, bro. And scared the S out of me pretty good. Watch the original video called... Oh, crap, what was it called? Final Destination 5. 2011 and Kill Count. Watch that video so you can see the original video without me reacting, Anyway, guys, it's your boy Xander, and it's been fun knowing ya. Bye bye. Yay.